Yes.
How are you? I didn't even say hi.
Habibi, how are you?
So it's on, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to tell me I could have watched this from the comfort of my home?
No, it's good to have it.
Well, actually tune in.
Quite as
Really?
Yeah, just adjust. Want to adjust it as best as you can.
away for college and things.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think that's-
Mark
yeah.
tuning into this.
Can we go like this?
Yeah, I think.
Actually, no. I think it's better like this.
Good?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen.
Is it live?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome. I'm happy to be here. So, to just dive in, I think I was talking to a few of you guys before we started, and in preparing for this, I really found that the stories of the contemporary martyrs, the stories of these new saints that the church is producing, is really proving to us that the church is alive and well. The fact that Christ is able to work in people just like us, especially in this day and age, is something that's so comforting to know. The fact that seeing people who have weaknesses like us, who live in this day and age, with our same challenges, problems, God is able to make holy. And not only that, but he's able to raise them to the level of martyrs in the church. The church is so beautiful in that it lays martyrs. The rank of martyrs falls directly under apostles. Under the apostles of the Lord, the church puts the martyrs. And it could be someone super young, like we're going to see. We're going to see some of the martyrs.
Yeah, it says live.
It's on Center Anonymous.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my phone or something.
Someone check.
Yeah.
No.
Sinners
it's on
Anonymous.
YouTube. Oh, I went to the
Instagram?
The Instagram.
Yeah,
it's
Instagram
on
doesn't. You have to be popular apparently on Instagram to
Oh,
do
so we changed. Okay. So
I thought we used to live stream off Instagram.
that.
Yeah,
But they changed the setting where you have to have I think 1,000 followers in order.
Oh,
Which is
interesting.
doesn't make sense.
Okay, now I see it
We
live.
can.
It's on YouTube now.
Okay.
It's working.
Yeah, because I went to
No, don't
Instagram.
One to do it.
All right. So going back, and I was just discussing with someone earlier. This whole generation is defined by distraction, weakness, pity. We know the martyrs of old. We know what the church is able to produce back in the day in like 300 AD, and we're gonna just delve into them very briefly. But to know what the church is able to produce in this day and age is something that is so comforting. And they're not. We're gonna see clergy, but we're also going to see normal people. We're gonna see laymen. We're gonna see teenagers. We're gonna see girls. People who God has handpicked. One of the things that we're going to see in the lives of these saints, in the lives of these martyrs, is the fact that God handpicks them for this honor. Martyrdom is an honor. This crown that they're given is a glory for them in heaven. So in talking about the martyrs, so of course, we can search the internet today and read about thousands and thousands of Christian martyrs each year. Like we were just talking about Nigeria and what's happening there. I just read something recently about how they killed 7,000 people in Nigeria in like a single day.
Yeah.
We can read about thousands of Christian martyrs each day, each year, and like this is not something of the past. It's estimated that 67% of worldwide Christians live in dangerous places where their lives can be at risk. And it's important to know that in order to be a follower of Christ, it's risky. Because being an authentic follower of the Lord Christ means to be countercultural. You know, the martyr is someone who's a radical for love, for truth. Because their approach of love and truth threatens the world. It threatens the powerful, it threatens the wealthy, it threatens the comfortable. And this is why St. Paul reminds the Christians in Philippi, he says, "For to you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake." So when someone lives united to Christ and lives this abundant life that Christ promised, then the suffering they experience is incomparable to the treasures, the blessing that's stored up for them in heaven. And St. Paul even goes on and he says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which will be revealed in us." So these early martyrs did indeed, and even the contemporary ones, of course, they followed in the steps of Christ in his suffering, which is why Christ our Lord is the perfect example for the martyr. There's no martyr without him putting Christ in front of his eyes, or her eyes. And in 1 Peter, as you guys see on the screen, it says, "Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow his steps, who his own self bore our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sins, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes you were healed." So Christ, who bore the disease of sin on his body on the cross, these martyrs took upon themselves the disease of the world and were able to die for Christ just as he died for them. So let's jump into some of these martyrs. Many martyrs have been crowned, and we're going to be diving into several of them. And I decided to choose some that no one has heard of. I want you to just take a quick look on the screen here. Who here has heard of, I'm going to say 5 of the people on here? 3. 2, okay. You notice, of course, when you think of contemporary martyrs, the first instance that comes to mind is martyrs of Libya. This is something we all saw. We saw them paraded across the beach in their orange jumpsuits. We saw them, the last thing they ever said, they cried the name of Christ before being brutally slaughtered in front of the whole world. We saw this. And yet there are so many more. And these are the ones I decided to pick. You won't find the martyrs of Libya on the screen here because we all know them. But I decided to pick several others in order to realize and recognize the beauty of our church. And the fact that the grace they've been granted is available to us, not just in the literal martyrdom, but we're going to discuss something else later. So, the first one right on top in the middle, the martyrs of Isna. Martyrs of Isna were early church martyrs. These martyrs were killed for the faith in 303 AD. And I know this topic is about contemporary martyrs, but I couldn't help but want to delve into the early church martyrs in order to set a foundation. In order to communicate to you guys that just as the early church offered martyrs who willingly went to their death, the church now offers contemporary martyrs, martyrs of this day and age, who also have given their lives to Christ. So I'm going to touch very briefly on some of these early Christian martyrs. A lot of these martyrs, the early Christian martyrs, you guys know. You know, St. George, Abu Sufyan, Marimina. Martyrs of Isna, I love these guys. you're going to hear their stories. You're going to be like, these people are gangsters. Like, they're amazing. So the martyrs of Isna. So, like I said, 303 AD. So after Diocletian wrote his edict, which ordered the persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire, there were governors that he stationed all over Egypt. And these governors demanded submission and obedience to the order of the emperor. And this order compelled the Christians to offer sacrifice to the idols and Roman gods. And refusal to follow this edict was grounds for arrest, imprisonment, torture, and execution. So one of the cruelest of these governors was a man named Irienos. Irienos, the governor of Ansena. Not Isna, Ansena. He was stationed in the city of Ansena, and he was stationed there from the years 298 to 308 AD. And he was the one responsible for the genocide of Christians in the city of Isna in Upper Egypt. This massacre comprised of several stages, and in total, it resulted in the martyrdom of 160,000 people. 160,000 men, women, and children. So like I said, this martyrdom happened in stages. The first stage, under the order of Irienos, we have Dolegi. Dolegi was a young, widowed, noble woman. And she had 4 children. We have their names on the bottom. Soros, Hermen, Shantas, and Abanofa. Very Coptic names. You don't hear these names. But basically her sons were farmers. And they were harvesting watermelon. And Irienos passed into Isna for the very first time, the city of Isna. And he met these 4 kids, Soros, Hermen, Shantas, and Abanofa. He asked them about their faith. They said they were Christians. And he said, have you heard about the edict? They're like, yeah, like, we're Christian, we'll die Christian. And you see they're young, like they're kids. And so he arrested them. And when Dolegi, this widowed noble woman, heard about the arrest of her kids, she went frantic, went out running. Frantic, why? Because she wanted to be with them. Not because she wanted to rescue them, she wanted to be with them. And she ended up standing watching her children get tortured and encouraging them in order to keep the faith. One of her kids screaming, and she'd tell him, hold on, carry on, keep going. Irienos saw Dolegi was cheering them on, so he arrested her too and started torturing her as well. And this, they were imprisoned for several months on end, and seeing the result, the Governor Irienos ended up sentencing them to death by beheading. Dolegi accepted the sentence, as did her children, but she told the soldiers on one condition. Imagine someone being sentenced to death and having a condition. Like, you can kill me, but on one condition. What was the condition? Kill my kids in front of my eyes. Because she said, I don't want to die first. And then one of my kids ends up being weakened in the faith, denying Christ, and losing his eternity. I want to ensure these kids come with me to paradise. So kill them before me.
Why did God allow the final death sentence to always be beheading? Like, why wasn't it the burning or many other tortures that could have potentially killed them? Why did he always allow it to end at the beheading? What was symbolic about beheading? Everyone, feel free to jump in. I'm sorry if that's a...
It's actually, it does have a reason. Romans, they thought they are actually higher than anyone else. So when you read back in the history, if they are Romans, they only die by cutting their head. Anyone else, they're not equal. They're less. So actually, God wanted to show them that my people, are not any less than you. Even when they burned them, when they tried to torture them, to kill them in any other ways, it would not work. Like and you will see that actually, when Saint Paul was sentenced to death because he was a Roman, he ordered him to cut his head right away. But when Saint Peter, when he said, "Oh, he is a disciple of Christ, who was hung on the cross," so he said, hang him as well. But anyone else, when they tried to kill them in any other way, it would not work. So God wanted to show that no, my people mean something to me, and they're not like any less than you. That's one of the reasons.
I didn't know that.
It's like the most noble way.
It is. Yes,
Yeah.
killing them was the most noble way for them. I was actually looking for that word.
It was kind of like hanging, I guess, these days. You
Yeah.
know, it was the most.
So that is actually one of the main reasons.
There were many martyrs who were martyred in other ways too, but like you said, I think beheading was the
It's
most.
a very common theme. That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And they actually try. It's not like they were torturing. They were torturing them to kill them in the other ways, but it would not work, and they get healed every time.
Right.
So for God to show them, hey, they are my people. They're noble to me as well. That's why it happened.
Thank you.
So they ordered them beheaded. Dolegi also insisted that put the kids on my lap as you behead them. And with each child who was beheaded, she let out a zaghruta, like the Upper Egyptians. You guys know the ululations, in the weddings. Yeah.
Want to demonstrate?
No, no.
Not on camera.
I'm not gonna. Yeah. Yeah. I won't show that.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah. But with every for those of you not Egyptian who don't really understand, ululation is a sound you kind of make with your mouth, and it's to display joy. You hear it often in weddings. Basically. So imagine this woman Dolegi with her kids. After each one being beheaded, she let out a zaghruta in order to celebrate her kids' martyrdom reaching heaven. And eventually they ended up killing her as well. And all of them witnessed to Christ, and Dolegi herself was beheaded. I love Dolegi because, like I said, Dolegi is so beautiful, and the fact that she celebrated her children's martyrdom, not their death, but she celebrated them reaching paradise.
Wasn't Saint Rebecca and her 5 children the same? Like the way they
Basically.
died was the same way.
Yeah,
Like
Rebecca.
her 5 kids died first before.
Yes, yeah. She also asked for her 5 children to be.
But there was a saint who they beheaded all her children in front of her, and then they didn't kill her, but she died from like the heartbreak.
There is, yeah.
And they still consider her a martyr. Is it Saint Sophia or am I wrong?
I think it is Saint Sophia. Yeah. A lot of mothers and children, but they're all wonderful
This sounds
intercessors.
like a bad question, but did they ever like go against what they want? So like she goes, "I want my kids to die in front of me." Would they ever be like, "No, we're actually gonna kill you first. And go against you"?
Just because you said
I
that.
think
That's actually
I think-
pretty disrespectful. Yeah.
I think they actually took it in a way where they wanted her to suffer as much as she
And
could,
they thought that was gonna.
so they
Interesting.
decided to, agree to her request, and they're like, we're gonna make you suffer to the fullest extent before we kill you.
But I think Christ gives that comfort too at the same time as much as it's hard.
Oh yeah, she's giving us a zaghruta, watching her children. What more comfort is there? What more external form of comfort is there? Next. So again, diving into, we have 160,000 martyrs in Islam, but I'm going to choose just 3, and these 3 are like my favorites. Okay. So in another stage, we have this martyr. Now this stage is chronicled in history with a very fearless witness to the faith. So Irienos, after the martyrdom of Dulegi and her children, he ended up leaving town, and he ended up returning from his voyage abroad, and he entered the city. He entered the city of Isna and found it empty of all its inhabitants. No one was there. And the only one who remained was an elderly woman. She was well over the age of 80, and she was bedridden. She was lying on a mat in her house.
By herself.
By herself. She was the only one left in the city.
Okay.
So hearing the sounds of the horses, Irienos' horses, she called out. She said, "Who's outside?" So Irienos had just come from his voyage, so he wasn't dressed in his military garments or his royal clothes. He stepped down from his horse, he walked into the house, he found this elderly woman. And obviously she found he was dressed in his travel clothes, so she didn't recognize him to be Irienos, the governor of Ansana. This horrific man, she didn't recognize him. So the governor walked in and he asked her, he said, where is everyone? Where did everyone go? So she replied very bluntly. She said, they are on top of Mount Aghathun. Mount Aghathun was a mountain in the end of the city of Isna. And on the top of the mountain, there's a monastery named after Abba Isaac, the anchorite, one of the saints. So she said, they're on top of Mount Aghathun at the monastery of Abba Isaac, the anchorite. The entire city, with its bishop, is preparing for the glorious martyrdom at the hands of Irienos the infidel. Yeah. So, exactly. So, Irienos heard this, and she's literally cursing me to my face. So, he pulled down his hood, he looked at her, and he said, "I'm Irienos." And from her bed, she looked at him, she's like, "You're an infidel, Irienos. I'm a Christian. And I will die as a Christian." And with one strike of his sword, he beheaded her on her bed. And Irienos with his soldiers ascended Mount Aghathun, and they began the genocide of the 160,000 Christians of the city of Isna. And this woman would forever be named Irashida. Irashida means the guide, because she guided Irienos and his men to the place of the Christians of Isna. And then from there, Irienos traveled to Aswan, to the city of Aswan, to continue his vicious work. So he basically finished off the city. I love this lady.
You know, it's funny. I think a lot of stories, she would be seen as like kind of like, well, why did you guide him to
Like a
but
snitch.
but like-
Literally a snitch. I didn't want to say it, but like,
But like
damn.
in this paradigm, we're looking at her and we're going, no, like actually, what she did is they were preparing for that. And
They knew it was coming.
Yeah, they knew it was coming, and she literally.
They
was like,
But they were running away.
They didn't run. They went up to the mountain with their bishop. Their bishop's name was Amba Ammonius. Ammonius was the bishop of Isna. He told the people, let's all go to the monastery to pray. I will pray liturgy for all of you guys. I will give you all communion.
You die first.
And you're ready, so that you're ready. And he would give them sermons day and night in order to strengthen them for their faith. Ammonius, the bishop, after the martyrdom of the city of Isna, Irienos ended up taking him to another city. And he didn't behead him there, he burned him alive. But Ammonius is amazing also. I love Ammonius the bishop. So after the city was completely ethnically cleansed, I guess if you will, of the Christians.
They don't teach us in school though.
They don't. So the fourth and final stage of the martyrdom of the martyrs of Isna was completed upon Irienos' return from Aswan. So Irienos left and came back. So again, entering Isna, Irienos found it empty. And he walked with his men to the north side of the city, and he found these three very courageous men, Soros, Antokion, and Mashhuri. Again, very Coptic names. You don't hear these names. These men were spared from the massacre because they were in the harvest, they were in the farm, and they were farming the land, yani tilling the land. They came from the land with their axes on their shoulders, like you guys see. And at the very moment in which they saw Irienos, the governor, coming from far, they ran to him and testified that they were Christians and told him, we want to die like our brothers and sisters did on top of a mountain. So Irienos sentenced them to death. He said, you're Christian, you won't deny, death, immediate. So he turned to his soldiers. He told his soldiers, carry out the sentence. The soldiers looked at him and they said, our swords are dull from overuse.
So they keep them active.
So from the constant use of the swords, we can't behead anyone anymore. It's not going to work. So Soros, Antokyon, and Mashhuri told them, you want to kill us? Take our axes. We want to die. And so Irienos looked at them. They're like, you love death this much? No, they love life. They don't love death. They love life. So he ordered that they extend their necks over a big rock in the desert, and he ended up beheading them each with their own axes. I love these guys because of how fearless they were and how accepting of life they were. Now, you might think, Irienos, this guy's horrible. I hate him. This man killed some of the most famous saints in our church. Like I said, over a period of a couple days, 160,000 people. There's another city called Akhmim. Over a 3-day period on the Feast of the Nativity, he killed 8,900 people. This is a completely different city. With the exception of multiple other martyrs. Irienos was a horrible man. But if some of you guys were here when Uncle Fedi was giving us his talk, remember how he mentioned, he's like, there's one thing I just can't swallow, is how can God accept Irienos? Irienos himself ended up becoming Christian, confessing in front of Diocletian the emperor, and was martyred for the faith. So all of these martyrs, when Irienos went up to paradise, they all welcomed him with open arms.
But isn't it the same concept like St. Paul?
They like St. Paul.
I mean, St. Paul.
Who was
left,
accepted
right.
St. Paul with open arms? Stephen, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure Stephen and all the martyrs that St. Paul killed. This is the beauty of the church.
So anyone can be redeemed, whatever the past is. As long as they accept
As
Christ.
long as they don't blaspheme Him.
As long as you accept Christ. There is no unforgivable sin except the one where you deny him completely until the last breath. Or you can, okay. Anyway, now Isna, like these three farmers, I love them because, like all the other martyrs, you're gonna see they're very much alive. I heard a very beautiful part of a podcast the other day. I'm going to share it with you, telling you guys the story about their bodies, the bodies of the martyrs of Islam. And Tony, ممكن تديني الريموت اللي هناك. I think it's still there. Oh, thank you. I just want to make sure the volume's right. But there's a story about how these guys are alive. The saints in our church are alive. They're not dead. Our God is not a God of the dead, He's a God of the living. Regardless of whether they're there in paradise, they feel us, they know we're here, and they desire us to be with them.
I just thought of this right now. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So Hitler was a believer of Christ, but but he clearly did it the wrong. How did that work?
What?
Yeah, Hitler was a Christian.
People claim to be Christian but aren't really, right?
God looks at the heart posture. So if when he died, or
I'm saying like the governor was kind of the same story.
The governor was pagan. The governor was pagan in the beginning, but in the end, he was
Hitler
remorseful.
didn't die
The
for
story-
Christ.
He
He
didn't
ended up killing himself.
Okay. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
The story. So
It's okay. We're not like hesitant. Oh, we're Hitler.
No, I just.
So
I
the
just a
story-
question.
the story about how Arianos ended up converting. I think this is a side topic, but I'll
I
mention.
apologize.
No,
You
no,
don't
no,
have
it's
to
okay.
answer.
No, it's fine.
It's okay.
I'll enlighten you guys too about Arianos, how he was martyred. He was torturing one of the Christians by shooting arrows at him.
Okay.
Target practice.
I'm sorry.
creative.
He's in heaven now, and we're gonna meet him.
I'm sorry.
But he was so. One of the arrows ended up, the bow ended up failing, and the arrow ended up turning back and striking him in the eye. He lost his eye. And Arianos had a habit. He knew the Christians were powerful. He always assumed it was through magic that they were working miracles. But he told the martyr he wasn't martyred at the time, but he told the Christian he was torturing at the time, he said, "Heal me." And he said, "God is going to heal you, but not now." He's like, "After you order my beheading, come take some of my blood and put it on your eye, and the Lord will heal you." So in a fit of anger, he ordered him beheaded, but he's like, "I got nothing to lose."
Mm-hmm.
So he went to the place of the body, he took some of the blood, put it on his eye, and the Lord healed him. At that moment, he cried out, said, "I'm a Christian." That's Arianos. I love this guy. I love all of them. Anyway, so martyrs are alive. So I'm gonna show you guys a short video. It's like 3 minutes. If you guys have met Abu Nabshoil Antoni, but like he says a very beautiful story about the bodies of the martyrs of Isna. You could see their tomb in Isna up until this day. Their church is in a very special part of the city because that's where they were martyred. They weren't martyred on top of the mountain, but their church is in a very special part of the city. The rock that they extended their necks and they were beheaded on is still there, and you're able to take its blessings. But I'm gonna show you guys this video about their bodies. It's very cool.
Their tomb in Isna. 50 years ago or less than that, I think, less. It happened that one of the saints appeared to the man who was taking care of the little church they had. He appeared to him and said, "Take my body and replace me in another place." The man couldn't believe it. Why? So he appeared to him second day and said, "Please take my body out. I don't want to be close to my brothers. Take me away from them." The man couldn't accept the idea. He said, "Are they fighting with each other in the tomb or what?" So the third day, he appeared to him and said, "By the way, I took my body, I put it outside, and you can go now and you see it." He took a lamp and went. He found the relic of the saint outside in the street. And the saint, prepared a tomb for himself outside, digged already. So the man called the people of the village and he showed them what happened. He told them what happened and showed them the relics. They put him in a new tomb and it's out in the street and out of the church. So they quickly made that tomb in the church again. So they widened the church until it covered this place, his place. What happened after a few weeks, the government came to tell Amr Ammonius to make a road in this place. Because they said, we have to knock down the church of the farmers, the three farmers. So he said, Amr Ammonius said to them, "I don't think you will do that with mosques." They said, "Yeah, we will do that." And there were a mosque called Sheikh Kuku at the end of the road. They knocked it down and they went to him and said, "We knocked the big mosque. Can we change the church of your the place of your church to another, I'll give you another piece of land, like we did with the mosque. He said, look, if the 3 farmers who died in this place agreed to move them, okay, go and knock down the church. They tried by all means with bulldozers, cannot, every time it goes to the other side, they couldn't at all by any means. Until now, if you go there, you find the road going around the church and straight again.
Wow.
The saints are still alive among us.
Absolutely.
Saints are still alive among us. So this picture is in their church in Isna. You have the bodies there. And then this is the tomb outside. And you can see the extension that the church was built. You have the original church in the back, and then you have this church in the front. They built it out in order to accommodate for the tomb of the new martyrs. It's really cool. Like the stuff
Is that
is...
the same too?
Hmm?
Is that the same thing? Just
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a different
just a
picture.
bigger
Yeah.
picture.
Oh,
And guys, this is like 50 years ago. Like Abuna Shoyi was saying.
Is that an altar behind it?
Yeah, in the second picture, it's facing the altar there. Yeah.
So do they pray liturgy there, or is it
Yeah.
just like monks?
Yeah.
Like,
They pray
anyone can pray liturgy there?
Yeah.
Well, if they go pray liturgy there?
Our next trip to Egypt, good luck.
Go.
Where is Esna?
Isna is in Upper Egypt. It's like,
What is it now?
which is actually like lower, like,
Is it like
south.
Luxor now?
It's actually
Yeah,
No, no,
Luxor
Isna's still there.
Yeah.
Isna's still there. It's still under the same name.
Muhammad.
Oh,
Luxor, Isna, Armant. It's so the bishop that Abuna Bishoy in the video was talking about, Amba Amonios, he's actually like our uncle. So like this is, again, this is something recent. Like this isn't like distant past sort of thing. This is right here. Okay.
is this like one of the 7 churches or
No, it's like a way farther. But yeah, it's like Upper Egypt sort of thing. Yeah, good question though. Okay, next. So, like I said, I wanted to cover just very basic early church martyrs. Now we're going to delve into recent church martyrs. So the first martyr I want to discuss and show you guys, his name is Sidhum Bishay.
You can play the video.
Okay. So Sidhum Bishay was a Christian nobleman. He was a celibate timber merchant in the city of Damietta, also called Dumyat. And he was on his way to church. He was a deacon. And there was a man who was a herder of donkeys. He was Muslim. He walked contrary to the path of Sidhum. So Sidhum was walking to the church, and this Muslim guy with the donkeys was walking the other way, in the opposite direction. So back in the day, Egypt, they would the Muslims had this rule where they would yell out to a Christian if they met him on the road. They'd scream out and say "Shimal ya Nusrani," meaning "to the left, you Nazarene," which is a derogatory term for Christianity. So basically, he would tell him, "Move to the left side of the road. I'm priority. You're nothing. Move," in order to make way for this Muslim person to pass through. Sidhum did not respond. He ended up moving, but the man wanted to escalate. And the situation escalated to the point that Sidhum was wrongly accused of insulting Islam and the Prophet of Islam. He was put on trial before a man named Khalil Agha. He was the governor of the city, the judge, the sheikhs of the city, and the head merchant of Dumyat. And the matter was simple. Deny Christianity, deny Christ, adopt Islam, the refusal of which meant death. Sidhum, of course, chose death. He was sentenced to be scourged 500 times.
What is scourged?
Whipped.
Oh, okay.
And in the presence of the governor, he was stood in the midst of the governor, in front of the governor, and the governor ordered that everyone attending the sentencing is to take off their shoes and hit him. He was dragged down the stairs of the court face down. Every bone in his face was broken. a mob gathered. They smeared his body with mud. I'm sorry, I'm going into graphic details, but again, this is our church. This is the beauty of our church. This is the extent that the martyrs suffered for Christ, and they forgot about themselves completely. They smeared his body with blood, and they went to a butcher. They bought the stomach of a sheep, and they tied it to his forehead in a way to demean him. They hung 2 brooms contaminated with fecal matter from his head. They inserted iron skewers into his waists, and they hung pieces of meat on the skewers. And then they tied a dog and a cat to him in order to, yeah,
How do you know all of this?
they recorded it. This is 1844.
Oh,
This is not too long ago. So now we're delving into more recent. So they tied the 2 dogs and a cat to him in order for them to fight, and him to be in the middle, and for them to gnaw on his flesh. They stripped him naked. They threw him on the back of a cow backwards, and they paraded him throughout the city as if he was being led to slaughter. And then in order to demean him more, they took a cross, they covered it in fecal matter, and they hung it from his beard. The saint was patient, and he constantly repeated the words, "O Jesus," like who? The 21 martyrs. Constantly repeated the words, "O Jesus." His friend was walking by, weeping, screaming, trying to calm the people down. Sidhom's only concern was, he told his friend, he's like, "Go get a chair." In the midst of all this torture, he's on the cow, he's on the back of the cow, he's telling him, "Go get a chair." He's like, "What do you mean, go get a chair?" He's like, "You don't see the woman dressed in white walking next to me? Go get her a chair, have her rest. She's walking with me." It was Saint Mary. The Virgin Mary was coming to attend to him at the moment of his martyrdom.
The other guy didn't see.
The other guy didn't see him.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
His final torment was the pouring of boiling tar on his head. And at that moment he departed in peace, and he gained the crown of martyrdom and the crown of celibacy, and this was on Friday, March 15th, 1844. The news of this reached the ruler of Egypt as a whole, and he ordered a formal investigation, and it concluded the innocence of Sidhom Bishay. A public funeral procession was ordered, and there was a decree at the time that barred Christians from raising the cross in public in the street. In churches, you can't have crosses. Processions, whether from the church to like the cemetery, you can't carry a cross. Because of Sidhom Bishay, the ruler of Egypt ordered that this be removed, and because of him, crosses are able to be exalted in Egypt again. The matter was previously illegal. They discovered Sidhom Bishay's body in the cemetery with all the documents and everything that was found, and his body was found to be completely incorrupt. After over 200 years, close to 200 years of his martyrdom, they found his body to be completely incorrupt and emanating a very sweet scent of incense and fragrance. And we have here, you have Metropolitan Bishoy, he recently reposed. He's anointing the body of Saint Sidhom Bishay for the blessing of the people. And his body is often displayed on his feasts. He shows the body to the people in order to show them, this is our church. This is our church.
It's actually shown at all times.
It's I visited
I've
recently.
been there multiple times. So
I visited
just
recently.
the way you're seeing it now.
Yeah, I visited recently. Should I show the video?
If they want.
Okay,
There is a
I have a video of Metropolitan Bishoy on the feast of Saint Sidhom Bishay displaying his body to the people. If you want, I can show it. If not, I can skip.
I think we're all
Maybe
open enough
not
to watch
on
it.
YouTube, like us watching it here, but not on YouTube.
Okay, can we pause the?
I don't know if we can pause it, but we can stop it. You want me to stop it?
You could honestly just turn the camera away from the TV.
Okay, so you guys are it's gonna look
Yeah,
this
we'll
way.
get a view. But it's not. The video's on YouTube anyway. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
If it is, then that's fine.
Okay.
I don't know if it was.
So
Yeah, you could flip it back. It's okay. The video's on YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I got it from.
We just
Really, like a lot of
So-
people do the now we're doing this.
So this is the body of Saint Sidhum Bishay on his feast. The reason why his flesh is browned is because one of the bishops poured very strong fragrant oil on him, and it caused his skin to kind of get like brown. But besides that, he was found completely incorrupt. So
Yeah, concentrate
That church is beautiful. They built a brand new church. It's like 2 stories.
This church?
This church. Well, it's not new anymore. It was before I come to the U.S. It's in Dunya, and you know that we're like a whole cathedral.
Dumyot is near the Nile Delta, like in North Egypt, I guess. Not Upper Egypt.
Was it embalmed?
Oh, what? It wasn't embalmed. They didn't embalm him. That's the miracle. They found his body.
This is how he died.
Isn't that the person that they poured tar on?
That's him, yeah. And
Normal bodies would just crumble.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah, but
And you're gonna see in the video, the Metropolitan Ambab Shoy, he tells the cameraman come around and film like his head, because his face is incorrupt, but his head, you can see the skull from the place where they poured the tar. So you're gonna see him motioning to the cameraman to come around and look. So you see the color difference? That's where the tar fell on his face from there. But the rest of his hair is still there.
Yeah.
His beard is still there. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, more recent now. So this priest, his name is Father Morus Khalil. I wish Mark Khalil was here because he's literally named after him. But a shout out to you, Mark. We have Abuna Morus Khalil. He's the eldest contemporary martyr in the history of the church. So Abuna Morus Khalil was the priest of a church named after Saint Victor in the city of Asyut in Upper Egypt. And what happened is he awoke before sunrise at 5:45 in the morning, as was his custom, and he made his way to church to pray the liturgy. This was 1991. Asyut at the time was filled with members of the Muslim Brotherhood, and these Islamic fundamentalists were killing Christians left and right. So they found this elderly priest walking down the street. So a group of these Islamic fundamentalists surrounded him and stopped him from making his way to the church. So they surrounded him from every corner. One of the men ended up drawing a sharp metal pipe and striking Father Morus on the back of the head. Another took a rod and beat Father Morus over the head, and so he fell to the ground in a pool of his own blood. They threw acid into his face and into his beard, and they doused his body in kerosene,
What is that?
in gasoline, in an intent to set him on fire. So they were they were unable to carry out this intent because people started noticing what happened, so they pulled him away, they intervened, and they saved the body of Abuna Morus. These evil men, out of the hate in their heart, they didn't even consider Father Morus' age, and so he gained the crown of martyrdom on that same day, on June 21st, 1991, and he's considered the oldest martyr in our contemporary times. He was 86 years old.
Just because he was out and about?
Yeah.
A priest dressed and wearing a cross on his way to liturgy. They killed him because he was Christian.
The police didn't do anything at the time.
Corruption. Widespread. Widespread.
Widespread corruption.
Still today.
Recently, for those of you who don't know, there's a very famous Blessed Holy Metropolitan in Asyut. He recently also departed. His name is Metropolitan Mikhail. he ordered that that part of the relics of Father Mortwas be taken from his body, put in the church for the veneration, and so that they may take his blessings in his own parish and his church.
Is he formally like canonized?
I don't. Martyrs don't usually get canonized. I think it's an automatic like
Yeah,
canonization.
automatic,
Yeah. These martyrs, again, a lot of these guys you've never heard of, you know. So there was a situation that happened. These are the martyrs of the monastery of Al-Muharra, also in Upper Egypt. And we have three here. Over here we have Father Benjamin, Father Benjamin, Father Arabius, and then Brother Labib. Now this is where we start delving into the fact that martyrdom is not haphazard. It's not something that just happens because it's unplanned. A lot of these martyrs know of their martyrdom beforehand. God reveals it to them. And you'll see God working in a way where you see the readiness of the heart of the martyr, ready to accept this crown, so God gives it to them. So one of the priests, he tells a story about one of the monks, Father Benjamin. He says that on the eve of his martyrdom, Father Benjamin told him this. He says, monks are constantly fought by Satan, who tempts them with foods and lust. As for the martyr, in a moment's time, he finds himself in the depths of paradise. Oh, how I wish to be like them. He's ready. So when he said this, he looked up to heaven and he dissociated for a second and he said, this is it. This is it. So this priest who's saying this, he says, I stood at the gate of the monastery, and what happened was on the eve of March 11th, 1994, again, members of the Muslim Brotherhood, they approached the monastery of Al-Muharra before the closing of the gates. At the end of each day, the monastery closes its gates for visitors. Before the closing of the gates, these fundamentalists approached the gates, and seeing monks and priests standing in front of the gate, they opened fire with a machine gun, and 5 men were immediately martyred. 2 monks and 3 deacons. So this priest who's saying this story, he says, I was not ready to depart as a martyr. As for Father Benjamin, he had just concluded celebrating the Divine Liturgy. So they're ready. He left the church quickly to greet the visitors at the gate, and very soon, because very soon the gates would close because it was the great fast. So one of the monks of the monastery, another monk, he's talking about the other guy, Brother Labib. This one's really cool. Brother Labib was a layman who wanted to seek monasticism. He was going to become a monk. So the way it works in the monastery of Al-Muharra is they usually send a monk from the monastery to go bring a person and bring him to the monastery to kind of accompany him on the path. So this is hours before Brother Labib's martyrdom. They got on the train in order to go to the monastery. And Labib packed his bags, seeking monasticism with no intention to return to the world. This monk, his name is Father Domadius, he sat by the window. So they got on the train, he sat by the window, he took a window seat, and then he looked at Labib and he said, switch seats with me. He's like, why? He said, because they're killing us nowadays. Like, we might find like someone with a gun like shooting into the window, I might die. So switch with me. So Labib answered him. He's like, how great it would be to die as a martyr. Why are you scared? How great it would be to die as a martyr. Hours later, he died as a martyr. Hours. God was working. This is His Grace Bishop Makeri. How are we doing on time, by the way?
It's
9 o'clock.
9? Okay. What time are we supposed to finish? 10? Okay, great. So, Bishop Makeri, I love this guy. This coming group of martyrs are from Sinai, and they're recent. This is 2000. We're hitting we're hitting very recent. So this story, the life of Bishop Makeri is filled with miracles. This man was exceptional. He was like something else.
Is it the same person?
Yeah.
Oh, I just wondered.
Yeah, the same person. So what happened was one day there was, I'm going to start a little bit from the beginning. One day there was a young woman. She was just weeks into her pregnancy. She just found out she was pregnant. She fell asleep and she witnessed a vision. She saw an elderly monk come to her and tell her, the one in your womb is a boy. And so when she came to full term, she gave birth to Nabil. Nabil would end up becoming His Grace Bishop Makary, and he was born in 1940. And Nabil had just been born. It was hours after his birth. And his mother, of course, after labor, she fell asleep. But she was abruptly awakened in the middle of the night because someone had entered her room. The Holy Virgin Mary walked into her room, and she was absolutely breathtaking to see. And she was dressed in white, and light emanated from her, and she stood in this glory given by God. And she preserved her silence. She was silent. Then she walked over to where the baby Nabil was laying. She picked him up, she scooped him in her arms, and the Virgin Mary put Nabil on her lap, and then she looked to the mom and she said, this child is my son too. It's not just yours, he's my son too. Nabil was set apart. Yani he had instances, many miracles that happened in his life. Many times he'd be attending liturgy and he would witness doves of light manifesting in the sanctuary whenever he'd attend the liturgy. Once he approached the priest in order to partake of the communion, and he saw the Lord Jesus Christ standing in full on top of the paten. He saw this face to face. Many instances in his life where it was known that he was set apart. He ended up becoming a monk in 1973, and then his mother came to visit him. So after he became a monk, his mother came to visit him at the monastery. She walked into the monastery. She saw an icon of Saint Macarius the Great, and she immediately saw the icon. She's like, that's the guy who came and visited me and told me the one in your womb is a boy. It was Saint Macarius the Great. Bishop Makary was ordained Bishop of Sinai, and Sinai was and still is very war-torn. There were a lot of issues there. One of the issues is they gave him as much trouble as you could imagine in building churches. Bishop Makary was very active in building churches, and he wanted to build as many churches as possible. This, of course, was a big problem for the authorities. They stood in his way by any means necessary. He just didn't care. At one point, the president of Egypt, Hosni Mubarak, he came and visited, and he stood up in the middle of Hosni Mubarak's address and told him, I sent you a memorandum telling you we need to build a church here after one was destroyed. He looked into the president's face and told this to him in front of all these people. He did not back down.
Hi, sorry, where's Bunoisa?
So of course this drew the attention of the authorities. They despised him and they set out to kill him. So what happened is he went and visited his monastery a couple weeks, about 2 weeks I think, before his martyrdom, and he told them, he's like, this is the last time I'm going to see you. He told the monks there, he said, this is the last time I'm going to see you. They're like, why? Where are you going? He's like, I'm leaving. So on his way back, he visited the monastery. On his way back to Sinai, he was in the car, and he usually sits very silently in the car. He prays his psalms, reads his Bible, might catch up on sleep. But here, he's sitting in the car. His driver's still alive. I actually got in contact with him. But his driver was sitting in the car, and he looks over to Bishop Makary, and all of a sudden, Bishop Makary is just sitting in his chair, and he starts like fidgeting and like making room, as if he's making room for people to enter into the car. So he's making room and he's naming. He's like Saint Mary, Pokrolus, Marimina, come in. he's naming saints and they're joining him in the car. And he's sitting in the car like this. And then he looks at this guy. This guy's name is George, still alive. He looks at George. He's like, "Are you ready?"
I'll be doing it.
And he told him, "Ready for what, Sayyidina? Ready for what, Your Grace?" And he said, "Man must always be ready." And then he looked at him. He's like, "Sayyidina, I have a wife and kids. I'm not going anywhere." And Bishop McCary tells him, he's like, "Don't cling to this word." He's like, "Your name is George." He took St. George as an intercessor, Bishop McCary. So he's like, "Your name is George. Your name is after like St. George. Don't cling to this world. Come." He's like, "Your Grace, I can't go anywhere." He's like, "Okay, I'll leave you here, but it's time for me to leave." So he looks at him and he says, "Let's pray our Father who art in heaven together." The moment they utter the word Amen, the car of a hired assassin, parked at the edge of the street, plows into their car and T-bones them. The car flips over multiple times. And the car flips over multiple times. Bishop McCary is found dead at the scene of the accident. As for his driver, he comes out completely unscathed.
That's wild. That's
Guys, this is 2000. Like this is recent. Our saints are alive. They're literally, like, I'm telling you guys, in researching this stuff, like, you find the wildest things. This is Bishop McCary. Yes.
You said you got in contact with
His driver, yeah.
Did you like speak to him about like his feelings? Can I ask? Do you know if he like felt like? Did he feel like it was God's will to keep him here, or did he feel maybe regret? For not saying that he wants to go.
I'll ask him.
I just ask because like if I like may speak a little personally, like I feel like I'm the same way where I'd say like no, like to be honest, I'm not ready, and like I even see like I see how much these martyrs love Jesus, and I look at myself like I don't know if I love Jesus that much.
Maybe the Lord put it in his heart not to accept it at that point, in order to live and tell the story of what happened in the car. No one else would have known.
It would have just been a random car accident.
God works in many different ways. No one knows.
Bishop McCary had a very beautiful talent, and he basically had the Bible memorized. So I'm going to show you guys a short clip. Like I said, this was July 25th, 2000, meaning this past July we celebrated 25 years of the martyrdom of Bishop McCary. They held this very big celebration in Egypt, and they had many of his disciples get up and speak and say their stories and experiences with him. One of them was this guy, George. So I'm going to show you guys a short video of this talent that he had of memorizing scripture. This bishop, he's a bishop now. He was a priest at the time when he was with Bishop McCary. And he's a bishop now. He actually took his name. His name is Bishop McCary also. But he's going to tell you guys a little bit about this talent of this.
أنا بحب كتاب مقدس، وكان عندي كتاب عبارة عن متقطع من كتر القراية. فانبهرت جدا، ما شفتش حد زيه في كل الكنيسة لغاية دلوقتي. إنه حافظ عن ظهر قلب إصحاحات وربما أسفار ويسردها زي ما ذكر أبونا ماركو إنه جاب الإنجيل والمزمور بتاع العشية وهم بيصلوها. معهوش ولا موبايل ولا غيره يقدر يجيب منه. فكنت انا مش بعمل له تيست، جاي يزورني وانا بقيت قسيس، فجاي يزورني في شرم الشيخ، وبعدين قاعدين انا وهو، فبعد القداس رايح شويه وقال لي تعالى هات الكتاب معاك، فجبت الكتاب المقطع بتاعي ده، فقال لي انا عايزك تقرا لي اي حاجه من الكتاب. فرحت انا فاتح سفر اشعياء، بحب السفر، ففتحت وقعدت اقرا فيه يمكن اصحاح، وبايديا من غير ما هو يشوف رحت حولت على ارميا، فقال لي انت بتقرا سفر ارميا اصحاح كذا. انا هقلب، انا بكمل القرايه مش بختبره. هو قال لي اقرا، طلع انه حافظ الكتاب المقدس، ودي حاجه جميله. يعني النوعيه بتاعت الانبا مكاري إذا حبايب اللي قاعدين النهاردة الاحتفال عايزين تاخدوا صفات وفضائل من هذا الرجل، تعلموا إنك تحفظوا الكتاب. وأثر فيا الأمر ده يا سيدنا لدرجة إن أنا من بعد الزيارة دي بقيت أحفظ أكتر وقلم وأعمل زي الكتاب، أقعد أكتب الآية بالعشر مرات عشان أبقى زي سيدنا الأنبا مكارم. شاكرين يا سيدنا على حضور قداستك، ربنا يخليك.
And Babali, sorry. Did you guys understand what happened?
Yeah, I read the title.
Yeah. All right, next martyr. This one for you guys who just walked in. Isaiah. Father Minamut.
So my mom has a picture of him. I don't know, like right now, a picture of him in the kitchen, but I have no idea.
This guy is a boss.
Okay, yeah.
I love him.
Nice picture.
I love him. Father Mina Aboud was a priest in Sinai. So Bishop McCary, this guy. Actually, I forgot to tell you guys why I included the picture. This one right here. This man had a gift in prayer. I remember I met one of the monks in Texas. He prayed a liturgy, just one liturgy with Bishop McCary, and he said, "This liturgy I will never forget for the rest of my life, because this man, when he stands in prayer, he's taken to like another dimension. Like it's as if he's just witnessing angels, saints, and he had this thing about him where when he'd stand to pray, his eyes would like roll to the back of his head."
Yeah, that's
Which is why I included this picture. He's just in another place. He reached a level of prayer that was incredible. That's why I wanted to, I'm glad actually. So Bishop McCary was the first martyr in the Diocese of Sinai. And then we have Father Mina Aboud. Father Mina Aboud was a priest. He was originally from Aswan. He ended up becoming a priest in Sinai. And like I said, Sinai was a very war-torn place. So when he was first nominated for the priesthood, his family was completely against it. And yet, he surrendered his life to the Lord and said, "Who am I to set conditions on God and tell him, I want to serve here or I want to serve here? God called me to Sinai, I'm going to go serve in Sinai." He served as a priest for 1 year and 4 months before his martyrdom. His life is so spectacular. I'm going to just touch on his martyrdom, but the events following the martyrdom, I'll touch on them a little bit more. But basically what happened 2 weeks before his martyrdom on July 6, 2013, he was coming back from Cairo with his family, his wife, 2 daughters, and his sister-in-law. They were in the car with him, and he was driving. And I met his wife. I heard this from her personally, but she said, we were driving back, and me and him always fought as to how fast he was going. He was speeding. And the road, like there's a place near Sinai, it's called Bir al-Abd. Bir al-Abd has a road that's kind of like up and down like this, you know. So he's like flying, like. And at the end of one of these, you know, one of these like, yeah. Father Mina's driving, and he sees an old man bent over a cane with a beard, standing in the middle of the road, staring directly at him. And so he is flipping out because he says, I'm gonna kill this guy, like. So he tries to steer, the car loses control, and it ends up veering off the road and colliding into a metal pipe headfirst. The car was like essentially like flattened. So people around, they went to the scene of the accident expecting to pull out the bodies of the people in the car. Everyone came out completely unscathed. Nothing wrong with them. Abu Namina's first intention was to get out of the car and search for this old man who was standing in the middle of the road. He asked the people, he said, where's the guy? Where's the guy? Is he okay? They're like, which guy? There's no one here. There was no one here.
Did the wife see the guy as well or no?
They all saw him.
Oh, okay.
Everyone in the car saw him.
Okay.
No one else did though.
Yeah.
And he had just mysteriously disappeared. So his wife, that night when they went home, He was sitting on the couch, kind of just like slouching like this, just like staring into space. His wife sat down next to him to comfort him. And he told her, Miriam, if we had died tonight, where would we go? And she told him, she was like, to heaven, of course. So he was like, oh, you're so confident. And then he looked at her, he said, I think God has given me this event that happened tonight as a means to prepare myself. And she said, ever since that accident, he had completely changed. He usually come back from service, sit with the girls, watch TV, sit with them. After that night, he ended up going directly into his room, reading his Bible, and just being with God for those 2 weeks. By the end of those 2 weeks, he started getting death threats because he, as a priest in Sinai, priests were always under scrutiny and they were targeted. So he had started getting death threats. He revealed it to his wife. There were many, many instances in which he highlighted that he knew he was being martyred. You can read more about it, but just for time's sake, I'll go into the morning of the martyrdom itself. He woke up and he went outside. He was sitting in the living room, and his wife woke up. They had slept in separate beds for a reason. He wanted to be by himself and pray. And she woke up the morning in her bed. She was alone. She woke up and she found him sitting in the living room by himself. And when she walked out of her room, she initially thought he was on the phone because she heard like a phone call or she heard someone talking. But then as she listened in, they were words of prayer. And then she looked and she saw that this wasn't just a normal prayer session. He was giving and taking in a conversation with someone. He was looking up and he's like, take care of the girls. What are you going to do about this? Lord, please take care of this. And Tasoni revealed this to me. His wife revealed this to me. She told me that he was talking to Christ at that moment. Christ had come to him and he was discussing the aftermath of the events there. He noticed that she was listening in, so he pretended like nothing was happening, and then he stood up to leave. So she told me that she usually doesn't do this, but she asked him, she's like, tell me what your plans are for the day. He never liked that. Tell me what your plans are for the rest of the day. And he's like, okay, well, the car still needs fixing, so I need to go to the mechanic. And then she told me, she's like, he just looked into my eyes and just stared deeply. And she's like, I don't know what to say. I'm like I had things that I wanted to say, but I couldn't get them out. I wanted to tell him, like, why are you looking at me like that? Like, is this bye? Like, is this goodbye? All these death threats in the back of her mind. She's like, what are you trying to communicate? Why are you looking at me like this? She said in the 13 years we were married, he never looked at 15 years. In the 15 years we were married, he never looked at me like this. And the only words that could come out of my mouth were, okay, God be with you. That morning, he took off his wedding ring before he left the house. He walked out of the house without his phone. A priest never leaves his phone. Like you see Abuna Wisa, like every 2 seconds, like he's walking out with his phone. Priest never leaves his phone. He left it on the table, and then one of his daughters walked out. She's like, Dad, you forgot your phone. And he kind of just shooed her away. So his wife is like, what is happening? And he left. He was driving home from the mechanic. And what happened was, as he was driving, a Jeep, Hyundai Verna or whatever, pulled up from behind and a motorcycle. And they kind of pushed him to the side of the road, kind of targeting him, pushing him, cornering him to the side of the road. The guy in the car ended up lowering his window, pulled out a machine gun, and fired all over his car. One of the bullets entered through the driver door and into his leg, preventing him from pushing on the gas or the reverse and getting away. He was essentially trapped. When this happened, The guy on the motorcycle got off. He forced Abuna's door open, pulled him out from the collar of his tunic, and dragged him across the floor. He can't stand up. And then when he couldn't drag him anymore, he tried. He took the leather cross around his neck, tied it into a makeshift noose, and pulled him to the extent that the skin of his neck started to tear. They tried telling him to stand up. Every time he tried, they'd kick him down. And then when they forced him up, one of them put a gun to his head and told him, say the Shahada. The Shahada is the Islamic profession of faith. Say the Shahada. And he was so exhausted from this period of torturing, he just shook his head. He couldn't say no. He couldn't utter a word. He shook his head. So the gunman looked at him. He said, say the Shahada and I'll have mercy on you. Abuna looked at him in the eyes and told him, may God have mercy on me and you. He prayed for him, last moment. This man, hearing this, couldn't bear it any longer. He shot him 9 times along the length of his body. One of the bullets, again, sorry for the graphic details, but this will be essential later. One of the bullets went under his ear, into his mouth, and his teeth were basically scattered all over the ground. When he fell to the ground, they got away. They tried stealing his car, but it ended up sinking into the sand. They couldn't take it, so they ended up going in the other direction. This was nearby the church, so one of the church servants, also named Mina, he heard the gunshot, so he ran out. He saw Father Mina on the road in a pool of his blood, so he ran to him. He picked up his head, put it in his lap, and Father Mina was looking, and all of a sudden he looks to his right. And then he starts saying, oh Virgin, she's here. The Virgin Mary came at the moment of his departure. We pray in Vespers, in one of the litanies, we say to Saint Mary, we tell her, and when the time of my departure comes, attend to me. He actually used this line and foretold that Saint Mary would come to him later on that year, and that indeed happened. So he was martyred, and he ended up gaining the crown of martyrdom. The events following are really crazy, ridiculous. I can't delve into them because of the time, but there's a book out there you guys can read. I'm going to show you again a short video about Father Mina. It's like 2 minutes.
كما لقي رجل دين مسيحي مصلحه غريب بعد استهدافه للقتل مسلحين يستقبلان دراجات.
برضه بشير بس يمكن الأنبا موسى يعني أصدر بيان يعني في قصة سيناء وبيقول الأنبا موسى الحق عمل رصاصات غادرة ومن قتلك ليس مصريا ولا أمراض.
That's his wife. So his life story is written in a book. It's on Amazon. It's called A Spring in Sinai.
He wrote it.
Yeah. You guys would, you'll delve deeper into the life of Abuna Mina.
I never asked you, did they ever catch the killers?
No.
No.
No, they didn't. But Yeah, as Manny was saying, I personally went and visited his wife, and this is us. We're holding the tube that has part of his teeth that fell from the martyrdom, and the amount of miracles that happened because of the relics that God wrought through the prayers of Father Mina is insane. This picture on the left here, she was very gracious to give me part of his clothes that's soaked in his blood. And
Gave to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she told me, she's like, please put it in a tube, like the one over here too, like a reliquary. So I took it with me back to the U.S. and within months, there was a girl that I know. She had a tumor in her eye, and he completely, through his prayers, he made it disappear when she took a blessing from his relics. Many miracles happened that I saw, and there, Yani, I'm just saying again very briefly the miracle, but many more details. But because of the time, I'll keep it concise. I'll show you some more pictures of Abuna Mina. So this is a picture from the day of his ordination, and this is him and the same priest next to each other, just like a couple months after. So he was ordained, him and another priest, on the same day. It was March 3rd, 2012. And this priest's name is Father Rafael Musa. And to jump into Father Rafael Musa, he was also martyred 3 years later. Yeah.
Really dumb question. Do you have to like shave your beard, just leave the mustache like during ordination, or is that just coincidence?
It's not necessary. A lot of people, they just keep it like clean shaven, but I think some
It's just like a tradition.
some clergy, some of the bishops, they tell the candidate shave in order, like, you're starting your life anew basically, and like this is a sign of your consecration to the Lord. So they want like facial hair sort.
So they just keep the mustache.
Usually they'll shave the whole thing.
Father Wisa didn't have any facial hair.
But in Upper Egypt, it's not really like. It's kind of frowned upon to shave your mustache. Like Abuna Los had his mustache.
Yeah, he had his mustache.
So like men usually don't shave a mustache.
Yeah. But we have here Father Rafael Musa. This guy is ridiculous. I love him.
He looks familiar, right?
He was martyred 3 years after Abuna Mina, almost to the day. Father Mina was July 6th, he was June 30th. So Father Rafael, he has a very amazing story too. He told his wife on their honeymoon. So as you guys know, like in order for a priest to be ordained, he has to be married. He told his wife on their honeymoon, he said, God revealed to me 2 things, but I can't tell you how I found out. The first thing is that I'm going to be ordained as a priest. The second thing is that I'm going to die as a martyr for the name of Christ. Now, as you guys can see in this picture of Abuna Rafael, you see he was ordained very late, in his late 50s, early 60s. So his wife had no recollection, thinking that like, okay, he's going to be ordained a priest, whatever. When he was ordained the priest in his 60s, she's like, uh-oh. First thing happened, second thing is probably going to happen too. So he knew that God had chosen him for martyrdom. God had revealed it to him. How did this happen? But a little bit background. So Tasoni Mariam, when I went to go visit her again, Abuna Mina's wife, she told me a story. She told me that Father Rafael came to visit her at the apartment after Father Mina's martyrdom, in order to offer his condolences after his martyrdom. A few hours into the visit, he quietly took her aside, and he said, "I need to talk to you." She said, "Okay, boom." So he took her like away, keda, and he said, "I want you to consider the words I'm about to tell you as if they're words of confession. You are not allowed to say this to anyone. Like, do not divulge what I'm about to tell you until later." So she told him, "Okay, go ahead." So he said, "What happened to Abuna Mina is going to happen to me. I'm going to die the same death with which Abuna Mina died." She told me, she's like, "I initially thought this was some weird way to empathize with me, to comfort me in some way, shape, or form," but she quickly realized that he was serious. She grew very agitated. She responded, she said, "Abuna, no. May God preserve your life. May God keep you for us. Don't say that." And then he told her, he's like, you'll see. And you'll say, Father Raphael told me so. So 3 years later, on June 30th, 2016, Father Raphael was getting his car fixed at the mechanic. And
go to the mechanic.
The mechanic is out for both.
No, there's just no running cars in They
So-
fall on the blessings of God.
He was standing in the shop when a masked individual stalked him from the start of the day. He came and stood behind him. This man, he later ended up, we found out he was from ISIS because ISIS took responsibility. He drew a gun and fired a shot into Father Raphael's shoulder. Father Raphael yelled, "Oh Lord!" And then with that, the gunman gave him a single shot to the back of the head, which killed him instantly. He fell to the ground with his arms stretched out like Christ on the cross. And he gained the crown of martyrdom the same exact way as Father Mina. So Tasoni says something very interesting. I'm going to read it to you. She said, "I realized that this wasn't the hand of terrorism at play, nor was it an evil plot that was organized by terrorists. It was truly a divine plan that was even revealed beforehand to this martyred father, a plan he actually agreed to. He knew about the exact scenario years before it had occurred, even the method with which he would be martyred. Father Raphael was even surrounded by several other Christians at the time, yet it wasn't a massacre. He was the only one killed. I truly felt that God was more powerful than the terrorists, far above the capabilities and comprehension of the militants responsible. He has a specific plan that surpasses our understanding. Truly, he is Pantokrator."
So nothing is random then? At all?
Nothing is random. Nothing is random.
coincidence either.
Okay. Next one. Yeah.
Alright, sorry, no.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't it random if like you're kind of not aligned with Christ?
In what way?
That's a good question.
I mean, because obviously Christ is not gonna tell a demon to off you or something like that. Let's say you're like in a bad neighborhood or something like that, and that's where you grew up.
I think God works everything for good. Yani even the situations that...
But if you deny him, he doesn't have anything over you, right?
Yeah.
So if your will is stronger than his, then
If you don't surrender your life to him, there's...
now you've left your life up to chance.
So yeah.
So then it's random at that point.
I wouldn't say to chance, but you...
Can I give an analogy? It's like trying to row against the waves. You can keep rowing, and it's just exerting your energy for no reason at that point, right? You're going your path, and yes, you can have the circumstances that you're saying. Say I get addicted to something, whatever, so on and so forth. Your addiction could again be used to benefit others, other instances, so on and so forth. But it's to the glory of God.
Yeah, but isn't like isn't like randomization like kind of like from Satan? Not like randomization, but once you've allowed, let's say you have. Oh, sorry, go ahead if you want to respond to that.
I full-heartedly believe this, but once you become a Christian, coincidence don't exist.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We
Yeah.
don't believe in coincidence.
Yeah, coincidences do not exist.
But what if you're not?
But if you are just like
Yeah.
New Age, or you just don't believe in Christ, you're following the plan of the evil one, whatever you want to leave it up to.
Well, I wouldn't say like if you're unknowingly don't know anything about Christ, like this is because there's people that like learn about Christ later in their life, right? Let's say that they learn about Jesus later down the line. You're not.
Arianos, Governor Gonzalo.
If you're,
so I know what
if you're not, if you're not in denial of God, and you're saying like you're not denying Christ, you're not saying like, oh God, you're not real, like I hate you, whatever. You're not up to chance. I would think it's only when you have now made the decision, like this person is, or I do not want God, I hate God, Now you're in the chance pile.
I wouldn't say you're up to chance, because that would mean that God is in control of some things, but other things he's just leaving it. It's a deep question, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure of the answer.
Repeat the question.
Well, because he said there's not there. You said there's no
So it's
coincidence.
essentially like God's will not present for people who don't believe in Him.
No, God's will is not present for people that deny Him.
Eventually,
within the future. God's will is always present. It can be active or passive will. So God allows you to do something against. If you do something against the will of God, He allows you to make that decision because you have free will. but God is allowing that to happen. He has control in. He does have control in everything. Like,
the-
even the fact that Satan.
Well, he's allowing you to be controlled by others.
Yes, yeah. Like
So
he's
someone
allowing you.
So then, yeah.
He gives you the free will, but like,
Because
God
of
is God.
disobedience,
God
yes.
will still work in your life. He can still do things in your life. The Spirit can still be present at portions.
You have to let
But,
him.
like, exactly. You need to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're in full denial of God, then no.
There has to be a chance. Is what he's saying.
If
there's
you're
no
in full
chance.
denial of God, that's what hell is. Being in full denial of God.
I almost view it like you will have certain things that God does in your life, like positive things that are like you could actually see the benefits of it, and you just reject that God was even doing it. You know.
Okay, what about the negatives?
What do you mean the negatives? God wouldn't be doing negatives in your life.
I didn't say God. I'm saying, what if you do something that's negative?
I mean,
Has nothing to do with God.
Then you have negative consequences.
And what if that results in death?
Then that is.
It's your choice.
So exactly. So that guy.
But that means you're in denial of Christ. You're not, because if you're doing things that are negative, we would literally be against God.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like the analogy of rolling against the waves is very accurate. I'm so sorry I cut you off. Go right
I
ahead.
know I didn't even say anything.
No, you raised your hand very
Oh.
eagerly. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I thought we were done. I'm so sorry. It's about Abuna. It's not about this. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. You can say the next thing.
Okay.
It's fine.
So Anthony, you were saying Abuna told his wife, like,
Not his wife. Abuna Mina's wife.
Abuna Raphael told his wife.
Before.
Oh,
Yeah.
honeymoon?
God
yeah,
revealed.
Yeah, that he's gonna be a priest and he's gonna like be a martyr, but he didn't want to tell her how. Why?
I guess.
Comfort.
I guess because he wanted to. The thing is,
the mechanic. She's like, don't go.
he wanted to keep from her. He wanted to keep from her the fact that the how of the revelation.
Yeah.
Like whether it came in a dream, whether Christ himself came to visit him. Some things in prayer life, even to your spouse, it's yani private between you and God. There's a relationship, it's like the holy of holies of your relationship with God that is only between you and him. Meaning the deep experiences with him can only be between you and him. You can't tell it to anyone. But the thing is, it involves her. The fact that he's going to be a priest, because in the Coptic Church, in order for a person to be nominated to the priesthood and ordained, his wife has to agree.
Oh.
They take, if the wife does not approve, he does not get ordained.
That's interesting. Well, let me ask you this: how long from the honeymoon until he became a priest was it? If you don't mind me asking.
I think he was married early 80s and ordained the priest in 2012.
That's
30 something years.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
you see, he's old here.
Yeah, he was.
Like this picture on the right, this is a year-ish into his priesthood.
How long ago was this?
This is 2016.
9 years ago.
2016.
I thought I saw him before, like.
Is there anything more recent?
Oh, yeah, there's more.
Oh, there is?
There's more. Yeah, Bunar Sanderson. Yeah.
Did you ever speak to Abuna Raphael's wife?
No, I didn't get a chance to. She's very, like, she'll say she won't reveal like Abuna Mina's wife. She's very, no, I wouldn't say close, but she's just very private. Like, for example, she'll be like, Father Raphael told me of, or I don't know, she said, I saw a vision the night of Father Raphael's martyrdom. I'm like, okay, tell me. She's like, no. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Actually, wait.
Sorry. No.
Alright, genuine question. So, let's say like a situation like that happens. Is the wife able to remarry? Does she become a nun? Like, how does that work?
That's a good question.
Because I saw her in like the vestments.
I'm pretty sure.
She's dressed in white. Yeah, I mean.
Pretty sure they can, right?
Nothing. I don't.
Or
think
is she
anything.
living in the world as like a consecrated woman to the church?
Yes, I mean Tasoni Miriam.
She's.
How does that work though?
Well, only in the all I know is in the Catholic Church. I know the rule here. Okay, I'll bring it up. But like if a priest's wife, I know, and they're very strict about this. If somebody dies and is widowed, they can get remarried. So I would assume the rule would be the same here.
It's the same, but I think in the issue of priesthood, it's different. For example, if a priest's wife dies, he can't remarry.
It says yes, a Coptic priest widow can remarry.
Possibly.
So
I don't know of priest can't remarry. I don't know of a situation in which.
But I think
The guys can remarry too.
Absolutely.
No.
Oh,
like not priests, but just
Yeah.
guys in general can remarry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
I think so. Wife of the priest.
So you still have the relic right now with you.
Yeah.
Not the blessing.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Yeah.
So
depressing.
if the priest dies, the wife can remarry.
I
the
don't
wife
quote
can't.
me.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't quote him.
I'm not 100% sure.
But they don't have to, right? They can, like, she chose not to.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
That's from Tez
Anyway,
Behad.org.
let's delve into more martyrs.
Tez
Okay.
Behad.org says.
This Father Rafael. The last martyr I'm going to talk about from the martyrs of Sinai is this guy, normal dude.
Who?
His name is Misek Nasrallah.
No, bro, that's Hamel.
Yeah, he's a normal dude. He's a normal guy. So Misek was an employee of the health directorate. Huh?
The second of the devil.
It's still crossing of the hands for me.
Yeah. I love this guy.
It was
I
like
want
2 months before Warren Rafael.
Yeah. Yeah.
May 7th.
Not even.
May.
5 weeks.
Yeah, just a couple weeks. So he was an employee of the health directorate in North Sinai, and this guy was a very faithful employee, and all his coworkers were Muslim. Okay, so one day they went out. They all took a car, and they were driving, and all of a sudden they found a group of terrorists on the side of the road, blocking off the road. They pulled the car over. One of them asked the driver to lower the car window. And he said, "Are there any infidel Christians in the car?" And
He raised his hand.
all of the Muslims, they declared their faith. They said, we're Muslim, you know. And they gestured to him. They're like, "Do not talk." They told him, "Stay quiet." They're friends. They're Muslims. They told him.
They're his co-workers.
They told him, "Don't open your mouth."
Because they know he's a Christian, obviously.
Yeah. They know he's Christian. Like, don't open. He's like, "I'm a Christian."
No, I mean he's.
They looked at. They're like, "Dude, like." No. He took that instance. He took that instance. My silence is a denial of the faith.
It is. Yeah.
If I do not confess my faith at this moment, I'm denying him. Are there Christians in the car? Yes, I'm a Christian. And they told him, get out of the car. He stepped out of the vehicle. They reviled him. They told him, "You don't deserve to live because you're a disbeliever." And they shot him 11 times along his body. And it was told that one of the Muslims came out of the car and yelled and said, "I'm also with him."
So he's also a martyr.
And they shot him. I think 2 times. He ended up surviving. But this guy, I love him because he really like. This opportunity is so small, for him to just, in his silence, like just his silence,
could have saved him. I mean, well, saved him.
Could have lost him. Could have lost
What
him.
I'm saying, so
Saved his life and lost his soul.
Pretty much. So silence. If you do, let's say, God forbid, something does happen like that, and you just remain silent, that is like you're declining of the faith.
If someone goes out and asks you, "Are you Christian?" do not deny, whether in your speech or in your silence.
Whatever. So you have to admit, yes, I am a Christian. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because my mom would say otherwise, just for the sake of safety. But
don't be afraid. I love these guys. All right, we're almost done, guys. Sorry, I know we're dragging along.
No, this is wonderful.
Okay, so I love these guys.
Oh, those the girls that you.
The martyrs of St. Peter and St. Paul's Church. Martyrs of El Botrosaya. Marina and Fibronia, I met them.
Wow.
I met these girls.
Are you meeting
Before they died?
Before they died, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I was acting in Egypt when this happened.
I met these girls.
Nothing's impossible.
I was in Egypt for a diocese trip. One of the guys on the trip with us, he's cousins with these martyrs, and they came to visit him at the hotel, and I stopped by and I met them and I said hi to them, and they, within, I think it was like a couple of years later, they were martyred. So
this is in Egypt.
Yeah.
This is in Egypt. So these martyrs, this happened because a suicide bomber walked into the church and detonated himself.
I remember.
Yeah, again, recent.
How are the churches? Do they like?
You were there, you said?
No, the doors open.
Do the churches like chicken?
The church of St. Peter St. Paul was on the grounds. The Church of St. Peter St. Paul was on the grounds of St. Mark's Cathedral, which is the home of the patriarch. So I just picked 2 of these 29 martyrs. Most of them were women, with the exception of one man. But I love these girls, and I love her because you're going to hear her story. She's amazing too. You're going to see, again, the work of God in the life of a martyr. Somehow, God puts it in their heart. So the father of the girls, the father of Marina and Fabronia, he says a story. So this happened December 11th, 2016, right around Christmas. So on January 7th, which was the Feast of the Nativity, just a few weeks later, they hosted a bishop at their house. The bishop's name was Bishop Armea. And he spent a very long period of time with them, consoling them, reading from scripture. And he was using Marina's Bible. So he asked for Marina's Bible. Marina's Bible was filled with annotations and the pages were falling out. And so he was using her Bible to read. So her mother, her name is Nahla. She was very shaken after obviously the martyrdom of the girls. And she said, how can the Feast of the Nativity come around without my girls being with me? And she told him, she's like, I pray that either the Lord brings them back or that he takes me to go to them. So the bishop did his best to console her, but he could only do as best he could. At the end of the visit, he stood up to pray, and he began passing out pictures of saints to the people there. It was a big group of people. So when he came to give Nahla a picture, their mother, all of a sudden he became startled and he took a step back. And then with very wide eyes, he motioned to a large poster of the girls on the wall in their living room, and he pointed to one of them and he said, which one is she? The one in the white dress. And they responded, they said, Marina. And they confirmed that she was the older sister. So he explained, he said, when I came to give Miss Nahla a picture, I suddenly found Marina standing between me and her mother. I looked and I saw the girl standing in front of me. She grabbed my hand, she took the picture from my hand and put it in her mother's hand. Saints are alive.
Wait, say it again?
He saw the martyr, he saw Marina standing. She grabbed the bishop's hand.
Okay.
She took the picture from his hand and put it in the hand of her mom.
Okay. And what was the picture of?
One of the saints.
Oh,
yeah. Now, the other girl, Samia, she was only married for 3 months, and then she was martyred. Her husband says she had the sweetest personality in existence. She was incredibly kind, incredibly obedient, incredibly calm. Out of her love, she'd bring a bowl and wash his feet after he'd return from work. They were both from Upper Egypt, from Akhmim. And he explains that when the time came for us to get married and move to Cairo, Samia's fellows in the ministry, they told her so. They're like, oh, so you decided to leave us and go? Like, we're going to miss you, all that stuff. And then she replied very innocently. She said, no, you guys don't understand. I have to move to Cairo because there I'm going to gain the crown of martyrdom.
She said that?
She said that. 3 months later, she gained the crown of martyrdom.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Saints. And look, she's a bride. Like, she's not dressed as a nun or normal people. Sainthood is achievable. It's for all of us. Her husband knew of this, yeah. Her husband, like, he knew of the situation, but again,
How
like
was she
he,
martyred? How was she martyred?
the same thing, the bombing, the suicide. Yeah.
Now that you speak about it, like, I was in Egypt at this time, and it was all over the news, and obviously I wasn't married, and I was visiting my cousin for his wedding, and I was like terrified when I got the news. I was at my uncle's house, my dad's brother, and I'm like, 2 days, I'm going home. I came back on the 14th, and I'm just like, well, how am I gonna get home? You know, I'm afraid, and planes are gonna go off or not go off, and you know, Islam and how they think in their ways, but Yeah, it happened around the same time. It was like very shocking, and seeing how our church is mass producing martyrs and stuff. So it was great.
So this was December. So in April of that year,
Do they have security outside the churches now? Oh,
They
God, I'm just saying, do
they only do.
They don't check. They don't check.
It's like those little.
They
like,
have, yeah, but it's
They have
only the
metal
best.
detectors, but they don't do a thing. They
Yeah.
just watch you walk in.
They'll ask you what your name is. They'll ask you what's your mother church.
One of them. So I'm gonna jump into this
Both
right
online
now. I'm gonna jump into this right
crazy,
now. The Martyrs of Palm Sunday. So this was Palm Sunday. It was April 9th, 2017. This was just a couple months after the initial bombing in the Church of St. Peter, St. Paul. They were twin bombings that happened at two separate churches. One of them in a church in Tanta, and the other at St. Mark's Church in Alexandria. The church in Alexandria, to your inquiry, Annie, what happened was the suicide bomber wanted to enter into the church. The attendant, the servant, he wasn't even a security guard, but he was standing at the door, and he told him, he's like, go through the metal detector. So he walked into the metal detector, and it rang, so he detonated himself outside the church. He couldn't get in. The problem was, that liturgy, Pope Tawadros was in attendance.
Pope.
The Pope was there. I think actually the Pope had walked out like just minutes before, but he prayed liturgy at that church, and minutes later, there was a suicide bombing that happened. The other church, the Martyrs
was this
of
before Tanta?
after,
Or after?
right after.
So you already got the news of Tanta.
Yes, he got the news at the church. So the Martyrs of Palm Sunday, in total from the two churches, there were 43 martyrs and 789 confessors.
So what is a sorry? What is a confessor?
A confessor is someone who suffers bodily, physically for the faith.
Oh, Jesus didn't.
Injured, but
Okay.
did not die.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, these were this group of martyrs, majority of which, if not all of them, were a choir of deacons in the church. So what happened was one of the men, one of the terrorists wearing his suicide belt, he walked into the church, and he walked up to the front of the church next to the chorus of the deacons, where the deacons stand, and he detonated himself there. Now, what's very strange is I'm going to show you guys a video where events happened. God allowed certain events happened for certain deacons to be reorganized in order for them, some to gain the crown of martyrdom, others not. And they drew a map of where everyone was standing, the seating chart of where everyone was standing. Usually if there's a detonation, if there's a bomb, you find that here's the blast. You find the people here blown to pieces. The people here dead. The people here critically injured. The people here a little bit wounded.
Well, yeah, that's how the bomb works.
The bombing, though, the issue was people were chosen. You find people, you see these two guys in the front, they're twins.
Oh,
One was taken, the other was left.
Left alive.
Left alive.
Okay.
Just in scripture. In scripture says the same thing. It says two will be out in the field. One will be taken, the other will be left. We're living in these times. We see, like in the map, you find one chosen right next to the bomb.
Okay.
Taken. He's taken to heaven. Another one right next to him, completely fine.
Wasn't injured.
Without injury.
Oh, okay.
Period.
Okay, yeah.
Another one standing in the back of the church, martyred, chosen for martyrdom. And I'm going to show you the video. There are certain events that happened where the seating charts were changed in order for the picture to be completed, not here, but in heaven. Yeah.
So would you consider both a blessing?
What do you mean both a blessing?
Like if one
Being
if you die.
left and one.
It was honestly, it was very sad to see. I mean, being a twin, it was something I empathize with a lot. And I remember one of the brothers. You're gonna see him now, like he's gonna say his story. But one of the brothers saying, he's like, we never agreed to separate.
Oh.
You know, it was never our agreement to separate. But this one who's alive is a confessor for the faith. He was wounded for Christ. And he will have that crown waiting for him in heaven. And his brother, who's a martyr, will be expecting him with open arms. and he'll expect him, and he's here on earth in order to witness to the faith and witness to the greatness of the martyrs and tell the story of these martyrs for the faith. I'm going to show you guys again 2 short clips about the martyrs of Palm Sunday. One of them is one of the twins saying a very beautiful story about a group of these guys the night before the martyrdom. So remember how I told you guys, it's as if they know somehow something is being said, but God looks at the heart and he sees these people already.
Is this the case? I'm assuming the answer is no, but this is not the case for every single martyr.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
But you'll find it's very prevalent.
Okay.
So here's another video.
ليلة الاستشهاد كان هنا في نادي الكنيسة في البنات، كان في الشهيد بشوي ابن أبونا دانيال، الشهيد فادي رمسيس، الشهيد عادل سليمان، والشهيد شادي كمال. كان معاهم كورولوس ابن أبونا دانيال. فالمهم فبشوي ابن أبونا دانيال بيقول يا سلام، أما النهارده يوم جميل قوي، لو نستشهد النهارده. فدخل الأخ اسماعيل قال له تستشهد يا واد من غير الكبير بتاعك؟ أنا كبيركم، أنا لازم أبقى على راسكم في وقفة خادمة. فقالت له أنا أبقى معاكم يا أخ اسماعيل. قال لها لا ستات ولا بنات هيجوا معانا. فعلا إحنا مفيش شهيدات استشهدوا فيه.
Wow. So they said it as a joke, but it actually happened.
It wasn't a joke.
It seemed like they were joking.
Yeah, it was talking.
Like talk, yeah.
Obviously, they didn't have an intention that they were going to get martyred, but God saw the heart.
Yeah.
He saw the heart that they're ready. And what happened is, you're going to see in the following video, they were praising the hymn of Palm Sunday, Hosanna. Hosanna in the highest. This hymn is so beautiful because we have part of it where we say Hosanna in the highest, which was the praise being offered on earth. The second part of the hymn is saying, we praise you, saying Alleluia, 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 which is the song of heaven. These martyrs were martyred exactly at the end of the praise of earth, and they shut their eyes and found themselves standing in front of the throne, praying the remainder of the hymn up in heaven.
Yeah, so that, like, no coincidence, literally.
So you're going to see the next video. The martyr Bishoy, who you saw in the video, who said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we martyred today? His dad was a priest. His dad was the priest of the church. And Bishoy himself is a wonder worker. They've written books and books and books about the miracles he's doing, and they're insane.
Oh, it's crazy.
Insane. I know personally people who have been healed by him. Amazing miracles. So let's listen to Father Daniel. He's going to say briefly what happened.
يوم أحد الشعانين الصبحية بطبيعة الحال إحنا نزلنا ورحنا القداس مع بعضنا، ويوم عيد سيدي كبير بالمنظر ده، وحريصين إن إحنا نحضر القداس من بدري ومن أوله. وهم ليهم عادة إن هم بيلبسوا شمامسة في القداس ده، وليهم مكان إن هم بيقفوا فيه، يعني يقفوا في وسط الشمامسة بس مش في الصفوف الأولانية، ولكن في أماكن هم بيقدروا يمارسوا خدمة الشموسية من خلالها. فكانوا بيقفوا دايما في المكان اللي هو جنب الكرسي بتاع الأب الأسقف، على أساس إن الحتة دي بتبقى رايقة شوية، وبيبقوا شايفين هو المنظر ومتابعين، وفي نفس الوقت مشاركين في الألحان. القداس ده أنا كنت خادم فيه، يعني أنا اللي كان عليا استلام الذبيحة. في اليوم ده بدينا القداس، وكان يوم مفرح ومبهج قوي، والكنيسة فعلا كانت زي العروسة، والأنوار والمردات والشمامسة والألحان كانت فعلا مبهجة جدا، وده بشهادة ناس كتيرة خالص. بدأ الباكر وبدأت القداس والقرايات. طبعا الكاهن الخادم بيبقى عليه الدورة الأولى في الدورتين اللي هم بتوع القرايات. فبطبيعة الحال أنا عملت الدورة الأولانية ونهيتها. بعد ما انتهت الدورة الأولانية وبدأت القرايات الكاثوليكون، في أب كاهن زميل لنا في الكنيسة تعبت في صحن الكنيسة، فبدأوا الناس يتجمعوا وخدوها، وبعض من الشمامسة الأطباء نزلوا عشان يطمنوا عليها، ودخلوها أوضة المعمودية على أساس إن هو يطمنوا على صحتها. يمكن دي من الحاجات اللي كانت سبب في تباديل وتوافيق وإعادة تنظيم الشمامسة اللي واقفين عن ترتيبهم. ربنا أراد إنه ناس يتشالوا من مكانهم يخشوا أوضة الشمامسة، ناس تانيين يجوا مكانهم، ناس من الورا يطلعوا قدام عشان الصورة تكتمل قدام ربنا. الترتيب مش اللي هو عمله أشخاص، لا ده الترتيب اللي ربنا هو اللي عمله. فبعد ما نهيت الدورة الأولانية المفروض إن الأب الشريك هو اللي يعمل الدورة الثانية. ففوجئت إن الآباء كلهم دخلوا علشان يطمنوا على والدة أبونا، مفيش حد خالص معايا في الهيئة. فقلت خلاص أنا هعمل الدورة الثانية دي. وبرضه ربنا اللي رتب إن أنا أعمل الدورة الثانية على أساس إن أنا يبقى ليا لقاء أخير قبل حادثة الاستشهاد بثواني قليلة جدا أشوفه. وفعلا صليت الدورة وخرجت عملت دورة البخور، وبعدين رجعت. وأنا راجع هم كانوا على الشمال واقفين في المكان بتاعهم، فبصيت لهم هم الاتنين وابتسمت لهم، هم ابتسموا لي، وخدت الخطوات اللي بعد كده. الدورة الثانية سر الرجعة فيها بيتقال على باب الهيكل، ما بخشش زي الدورة الأولانية. وقفت على باب الهيكل بقول سر الرجعة، وبعدين ما اعرفش ايه اللي حصل بقى. سمعت صوت انفجار شديد جدا، صوت عالي جدا. بسببه انا اندفعت جوه مسافة يعني مش اقل من حوالي 2 متر تقريبا لحد المسبح. حتى انا اتخبطت في المسبح كده برضه مش دريان، مانيش فاهم ايه اللي بيحصل خالص. في اللحظة دي اول ما قمت اتضيرت ببص على الكنيسة اللي كانت عروسة ومتزينة وانوار والحان وتسابيح، فرح عرس.
God is at work.
It's like he's painting. It's like a painting.
He's choosing. There was one of the very blessed fathers. His name is Father Angelus. He was an anchorite, and he had very immense spiritual gifts. And he was taken by the Spirit to attend the church in Tanta, that service. And he said, I saw Christ, the icon of Christ seated on the throne. I saw him come out of the altar, walk out, and point. And he said, I want him. And every single time he'd point to one of them, they would light up. And he walked and pointed to 1, 2, 3, 4, until I think it was around 30. And then when he finished pointing, he walked back in, took his seat on the throne, and that's when the bomb went off. The last martyr I want to talk to you guys about is Father Samain Shahete. He was martyred on Thursday, October 12th, 2017. This one's really cool because I was spending retreat in Texas at one point. I was at the monastery there, and I was sharing a room with an older gentleman. He and I, we grew very fond with each other because we'd pray Holy Week together there. And I'm getting talking with him, and turns out he's Father Samain's brother. So
that it's his uncle.
No, they're brothers. Like the guy I'm talking to, his brother is him.
Oh, okay.
So I tell him, tell me something about Father Samain. So he tells me. So again, little backstory. It was in May of 2017. There was a group of armed attackers from ISIS that intercepted a bus filled with pilgrims on their way to the monastery of Saint Samuel, in the Mount of Qalamun. The attackers intercepted the bus. They forced themselves on, and they ordered all the passengers to utter the Shahada, to utter the Muslim profession of faith. Every single one, including the children, said, "We are Christians and we will die as Christians." And so they opened fire on the entire bus. This led to the martyrdom of 28 people and the injury of 22 others. So many of the martyrs from that incident, so Father Samain's brother's telling me this. He says many of the martyrs that came from this incident came from Father Samain's hometown. So he knew many of them. So he explains that this guy was telling me that Father Samain took it upon himself to go visit the site where the martyrs were martyred, and he took it upon himself to carry their bodies and wash them and shroud them. And this was obviously a task that many others were very uncomfortable doing, but he did it very enthusiastically. So at the time of their burial, they were buried in the monastery right next to the place where they were martyred. At the time of their burial, they had this mass grave for them, and there were many workers there who were helping put the caskets next to each other. So this priest, Father Samain, descended into the grave, and he said, I'm going to help. So he's helping the workers put the bodies of the martyrs next to each other. So one of the laborers is placing one of the bodies in one place. So he goes to him and he tells him, don't lay him here, that spot is for me, leave it open. So the laborers, they tell him like, don't say that, like very enthusiastically and emotionally. They objected. They said, don't say that. And he said, you'll see. 5 months later, October 12th, 2017, Father Samain was in Cairo, and he was going to collect donations. An unknown man, he was wielding a very long dagger, spotted this priest in the street, and he started running after him.
I think I saw the video.
There's a security video. Yeah, I didn't include it, but yeah, there's a security video. He spotted Father Samain walking in the street, and so he started running after him. Father Samain sought shelter in a nearby warehouse, but a few steps before he could reach it, he was overtaken by this attacker, and he stabbed him with the dagger in the back. When Father Samain fell, the man took the dagger and carved the sign of the cross on his forehead. And they ended up calling for the ambulance to come, Egypt, because of the traffic. It took almost an hour for the ambulance to come. By the time they came, Father Samain had gained the crown of martyrdom. And he was actually buried in the same exact spot he left open for himself 5 months before. So, in discussing all of these martyrs, just to wrap up. So what if I don't get martyred? What if I don't get martyred? Do I still have a chance at a crown? And the church says yes, because there's such a thing as spiritual martyrdom. St. John Chrysostom says, mortify your body and crucify it, and you will yourself receive the crown of martyrdom. For what in the other case the sword accomplishes against one's will, then in this case let a willing mind accomplish the same. And then St. Augustine says, let no one say I cannot be a martyr because there is now no persecution. I can be a martyr. Now, one of my other very favorite quotes, I love this quote so much. I'll show it to you now. Listen to this. He who refuses to give in to passions and sinful desires does the same as he who refuses to bow down and worship idols. Can you believe that? He who refused to worship idols was given over to external sufferings, while he who refuses to satisfy the passions actually wounds himself and forces his heart to suffer until the passions quiet down in him. Victory over passions is self-inflicted spiritual martyrdom, which is performed invisibly in the heart, but is nevertheless very painful. We don't have to be killed physically in order to be counted in the sight of God as martyrs. Kill the self, kill the ego, kill the passions. Kill whatever it is, destroy it. Kill whatever it is that is separating you from the full love of Christ. Because once you do that, you will be counted as a martyr because you're uniting yourself to him. These martyrs, these contemporary martyrs, they're here cheering us on. And they're here to tell us, we did this. We made it. It's your turn. Struggle like us, and we'll see you in eternity. To God be the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Any questions?
You know, I think his brother's a priest now.
Yeah, his brother was ordained as a priest. Yeah. I attended his ordination. I was there.
Yeah, really.
That was my favorite talk so far. Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
Continue, Barrett.
Yeah, it's good.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think the beginning of the period of Pope Touch's enthronement, right after, up until the martyrs of Libya, was a really, really, really rough time of the church. It was like massacre after massacre. It was crazy.
Even after.
Yeah.
Martyrs of Libya were 2015.
Yeah.
These we had.
It's the period of the Muslim Brotherhood
Yeah.
and the unrest in Egypt with the rebellion with Morsi, and
Like
then
you have the
ISIS
martyrs
takes
of Mecca
over.
Hamadi, and the martyrs of
After 2017, it pretty much stopped.
yeah.
I remember when I was in Egypt in 2017, because so my family's apartment was right next to a church, and I see people with guns protecting the church. So I don't know if it was because of
They had machine guns, army.
they were ready.
I was in Egypt just a few weeks after the bus incident of the people on the bus.
St.
Samuel's Monastery. And I was passing by, I was on the road. I was in Upper Egypt, I was visiting the monasteries up there. And I was passing by the road going to St. Samuel's Monastery. And I passed by that place and I remember my heart beating like crazy. Because that place was just inhabited by ISIS. Like it was very well known. They closed off that road for years until they ensured that that place was completely cleansed of any ISIS presence.
Yeah, Sisi eradicated them.
But you know, it's just like it could be ISIS or whatever. But like, I mean, there was just in Syria, church bombing, like you said, Nigeria.
Oh yeah, Syria.
Like
So they're all over the
globally,
place.
It's globally, it's all forms. Yeah.
I was in Egypt in 2017 when that happened, and like when all of it was happening, and my parents were just like, just know that you're professing your faith. This is your faith, and it is what it is. Whatever happens.
And these are really real conversations that
Between parents.
yeah. I remember I was visiting a priest in Canada once. I was at his house and his wife was telling their like 3-year-old, telling them like if someone holds a knife to your neck, telling you to deny Christ, do not do it. And the thing is like these conversations, you might think they're like crazy, but then when you look at her, it doesn't become so crazy.
But then you look at the apostles when they all like ran away when they were taking Christ to crucify him and all that. And somehow they chickened out in a way.
But that was fulfillment of prophecy as well. You know, like
yeah, but
they will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered.
I think that was purposeful, man. They wanted the apostles to be. The apostles were weak. That's kind of.
I mean, Peter.
But I'm saying as like human nature though, it's like
Peter 3 times.
yeah, he denied.
rejects him.
But everything happens for its reason. There was a reason the apostles weren't crucified with Christ. They needed to go spread and evangelize.
Their time came.
Yeah.
Peter was
And
crucified.
they-
Andrew was
Wasn't
crucified.
Peter upside
Yeah.
down? I just wanted to.
Yeah.
confirm.
Yeah.
Peter was crucified upside down. Andrew's brother was
He said he
crucified
wasn't
too.
worthy to be crucified like Christ.
The thing with Peter denying him, I'm still kind of confused on that because people saying he did that willingly. I think he will.
Jesus prophesied it, so it's gonna have to happen.
He says otherwise.
No, like Peter still had the free will to accept Christ. He just didn't. He was fearful.
So it's not prophesied then.
No, it's still prophesied to him. Both things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not mutually exclusive.
What's prophecy?
And actually, he does curse it at some point, so he separates himself, like at some point.
Well, if we understand that Christ is still 100% fully divine, right? He still knows, like he can still know
What's gonna
sometimes
happen.
the decisions people are going to make. But remember, he's not actively willing that they do that thing. He's giving them the free will to do it. Yeah. Like they still can do it or not do it. He just knows they're gonna do it. It's kind of like the analogy I gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the TV, like replay. Yeah, whatever.
Who was your favorite?
Oh,
The most inspiring?
Yeah.
There was one that I can't bear to understand how he lives through it, where his body was preserved. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name.
Oh, Saint Sidhum Bichet?
That's too much. Like, I'm surprised he was.
I think the one with the
Yeah,
the 49,
that's.
the 49
I
I
like
think,
the
or is it no
snitch.
Palm Sunday? Like
I like
if you
that one.
if you want to see like Christ will literally like paint. It's like painting something, like literally like putting everything in place directly for it to be that way. I've never seen, I guess to see it described like that was just so like I couldn't.
I think if we were to go back in time, like look at like the martyrs of Bethlehem, I think it's like 144,000.
There are a lot, yeah.
I think that if we were to live in that time, I think I'd be like, I don't know.
This lady was so cool.
The guy.
I love
This
this lady,
guy.
man.
Yeah.
I love this lady. She's so cool.
In his face, like, you suck. You suck.
But yeah, there are so many. All right, guys. Any more questions, comments? Hope you guys enjoyed.
When are you doing your next presentation here?
When they ask. When they ask.
It's definitely inspiring.
Thank God. I'm glad you guys
Yeah,
benefit.
it's sad, but it's encouraging.
This is our calling. Not calling to die physically, but again, like we're called to be countercultural. We're called like Rashida who told Irianos to his face, "You're an infidel." We're called to say the truth to its face.
So I have a
This is
question.
our calling.
Like, as servants of the church, like when we teach Sunday school to kids at a certain age, let's say like elementary, middle school, and you're telling the student like about the story of the saint, or like, you give mild like information, and then you have like a parent that comes to you and says like, don't talk about that in front of my kid. Like, well, how are you supposed to, as a parent and how as a servant, like, you prepare the.
If Abuna, can I answer? I think.
Go for it.
If Abuna says, I'm sure Abuna's gonna approve of your teaching and the way you say it. So if a parent comes, say, don't tell Abuna.
I mean, you're gonna be smart. You're not gonna go into the detail of
but you have to kind of let the message.
You'll say
still.
you'll say he tried to deny. They tried to tell him to deny Christ. He said no. They tortured him.
Yeah, you
gained
don't
the
have to-
crown of martyrdom. End of story.
Yeah, I'm saying even as simple as it is, like you'll get like a parent says,
No.
stop right there.
No.
I'm like, no,
No,
don't tell my kids.
no.
that.
If anything, if a parent does say that,
this
they
is
don't,
the history.
They weren't.
Yeah, you can
they
wait
don't
till
know.
they're older too. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the people are here; they're probably hearing it for the first time.
I mean, if they're completely against, talking about martyrs, no, martyrs, the seed of the church.
Yeah,
Martyrdom
that's
is
what
the
I'm saying.
seed
Like,
of the church. Anyway, let's wrap up. In case anyone needs to leave, if you have any other questions, we can carry on after. All right, let's stand up to pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God.